Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Sparkly here with a new video for you. Welcome to Season 3, Part 3 of What If Izuku Was Majin? I just wanted to greet you guys by saying, sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. So, we begin. Izuku and Mina got onto the train and waited to return home. While on the train, Izuku tried to get some sleep, but he couldn't get a wink because he was afraid that the monster would take over his body when he was vulnerable. Although Izuku can take quick naps and feel energetic, it is what the monster could do that Izuku didn't know about. From what his friends said, the monster could create copies of himself from little pieces of his body after Endeavor blew his top half off. And the monster went inside. If he could do all of that, what is stopping him from taking over his body and causing havoc for the world? It had to be that other pink person Izuku was next to in the caves. Izuku kept thinking about the monster and its relationship with the man inside him. Mina looked over to see her friend was in distress and mumbling multiple paragraphs a minute, which weirded her out and everyone else on the train. Izuku kept on mumbling until he felt something landing on his shoulder. He looked down to see Mina placing her head on his shoulder. Zuzu, I know you're going through a lot right now. I know there's not much I or anyone else can do for you, but please, remember this. We're here for you, Mina happily stated. Izuku's feelings were going all over the place. He was feeling embarrassed that Mina was doing something like this in public. But he was also feeling comfort whenever she said that. Izuku put his embarrassment aside, placing his hand on her head. They relaxed as they waited for the train to stop at their home. The next day, the students made their way back to UA. Denki and Seru made fun of Bakugo's new hairstyle while everyone else talked about their experiences from their work studies. Denki commented on Izuku going berserk and attacking the heroes and about the hero killer's stain. Izuku put his head down in disappointment, while Ito looked down at his hands. Mina and Jiro smacked Denki in the back for bringing up something like that. The students heard the door open. They turned around to see Vomi instead of Aizawa. They questioned why she was there, but she didn't respond to any of them. Vomi looked around, before landing her eyes on Izuku. Izuku, Mina, can the two of you follow me, please? Vomi questioned. Sure, Aunt Vomi, Izuku and Mina replied as they got up. Once Izuku and Vomi left the room, Mineta questioned how that was Izuku's aunt. But before he could say anything else, mainly anything perverted, Jiro hit Mineta on the head. Izuku and Vomi made their way past students and teachers. Izuku nervously thought out the conversation between him and her about what happened in the city and what she could do to him. Vomi opened the door for Izuku and Mina to walk in. Vomi walked in and closed the door behind her. Izuku tried his best not to look at her at the moment, but she cleared her throat, grabbing his attention. I heard what happened down in the city, Vomi stated. Izuku knew that she would bring this up and immediately apologized for his actions. Aunt Vomi, I'm... But before Izuku could finish his sentence, Vomi chopped him on the head. Izuku grabbed his head and saw Vomi pulling him into a hug. Izuku questioned why she was hugging him. If she had heard everything in the city, she would be furious with him. Vomi chuckled before speaking. Izuku, I'm not mad at you, Vomi calmly stated. I simply want to know what happened with the fight between you and the heroes and villains. Izuku cleared his throat and began telling the events from the city. Izuku started by protecting the couple from a giant bug man called Cell to where Tomura, 16, and a newly formed Cell attacked him and transformed him into the Buu form. Izuku then went on and on about how he woke up inside the pink caves and felt the energies of people inside him that the monster had already eaten. Then, he explained how the monster feared Izuku getting near something that looked the same as the monster, except friendlier. Vomi understood the side of Izuku's story and pointed towards Mina to hear her side. Mina explained how on the outside, Izuku decided to name himself Buzuku after the monster took over him and chose to attack Endeavor and the other heroes. She went on about how All Might came in and was trying to give the piece of candy to Buzuku and struggled with it. Until Buzuku stopped attacking for a bit, giving All Might enough time to provide the candy for Izuku, changing him back to his usual self. What caught Vomi's attention was when Izuku described the android called 16 and the caves inside of him, plus Mina's description about Izuku stopping mid-fight. Vomi questioned how the people got in there, hoping that Izuku didn't say anything about her sweets. Izuku gave her a theory that the monster Boo had already turned the people into candy, surrounding the people in cocoons and using their energy to make him stronger. Vomi sighed in relief, knowing that Izuku didn't know about her part in keeping the monster at bay. But there is a plus side to everything. She learned that the beast could speak, besides one-off sentences. But there appears to be something, or someone, else inside of Izuku that the monster is afraid of anyone getting near. She considered that the monster stated that messing with it would cause problems for Izuku and everyone else. But it was something to keep in mind in case the monster caused havoc on the world. Vomi broke out of her thoughts and turned towards Mina. Mina, you said that Izuku stopped attacking the heroes at one point, if I remember. Vomi questioned Mina. Yeah, Bazuku, the monster called itself, just stopped in the middle of the fight and didn't move an inch when All Might charged at him with the sweets. Vomi went back into her thoughts about the info she just received. The monster was fighting the heroes on the outside, then stopped suddenly. She returned to Izuku's points about the monster telling him not to touch a pink man inside the cocoon. It took a few seconds before putting the 2 points together. So, if Bazuku decided to take over Izuku's body now, he would either focus on the outside world or stop Izuku from reaching that pink man inside. Which means Izuku, whenever you lose control of yourself. Vomi paused as she placed her hand on Izuku's shoulder, causing Izuku to become nervous about what she would say next. Remove the pink man from his cocoon. Izuku and Mina were confused and scared by her response. Vomi wanted Izuku to remove the man that the monster was afraid of, with him also saying that he could cause havoc worldwide. Izuku and Mina screamed out why she wanted Izuku to remove the man from him. Before they could say anything else, Vomi grabbed them by the mouth to keep their voices down to make sure nobody heard them talk about it. Vomi looked around her to make sure no one else was around them. She let go of their mouths and proceeded to speak. I'm telling you to remove him as a last resort if the sweets start to fail, Vomi stated as she adjusted her glasses. And I think that may happen soon, since the sweets seem to take longer to take effect. Vomi looked away from the two, as Izuku and Mina worriedly looked at each other. She was right. In the fight between Izuku and the heroes, the sweets did take longer to take effect on Izuku. They were lucky that they found a weakness in him. But still, it is a scary thought that whenever another fight broke out and Izuku becomes Bizuku and the sweets don't work, then everyone would be eaten and drained of their energy by him. Izuku hated losing control, but losing himself entirely was even worse. Vomi looked away from the two and went back into her thoughts. Plus, Izuku is already as strong as All Might, possibly stronger, and that's not good, Vomi thought. She looked back, seeing the worried look on their faces. She could tell that they were worried. Just as long as someone keeps an eye on you, we should be safe from that ever happening, Vomi confidently stated. Izuku and Mina looked back towards Vomi with a smile on them. Although the thought of Izuku losing himself to the monster still stuck with them, they smiled back, knowing that they should hold on to a bit of hope instead of living in fear. Vomi commented that they should try hurrying up to class because she was told that All Might wanted to do something special with them. Izuku and Mina exited the room and returned to their classes. The students were taken to an obstacle course to see their progress. All Might was surprised by Mina's development with One For All and thought it was time to tell the story of One For All. All Might walked up to Mina and Izuku, telling them to meet him once the school day ended. Once class is finished, All Might stood outside his office, waiting for Izuku and Mina. All Might saw the two coming down the hallway and decided to enter the office, with the students following suit. All Might sat the two down and began to tell the story of One For All and All For One. A story about two brothers, one that could give and take quirks away, and the other didn't. The two couldn't believe what they had just learned, but they weren't prepared for what All Might had to say next. All Might got up from his seat and walked towards the window. Young Ashido, young Midoriya, the evil that I have talked about is no longer alive, All Might bluntly stated. All Might explained that heroes and police explored an abandoned building after hearing a tip from seeing a giant bug man entering it. The heroes broke into the building and couldn't find anything that was major, only a few items. All that was left of the villain was a suit and mask. If someone was able to defeat All For One, then that means there's someone stronger than him. Izuku and Mina looked down at the ground in fear, wondering if the thing that defeated All For One was that Bugman. They feared that whatever the Bugman could do was much stronger than All For One. All Might turned around to see them down. He knew that the information would scare them, but All Might just smiled, then let out a huge laugh. Izuku and Mina looked up to see All Might laughing. They asked him why he was laughing at the information he just gave them. Because there's nothing to fear, young ones. Since young Midoriya healed me, I can fight like in my Silver Ages. That means I will stand and fight with you two and defeat this evil, All Might happily stated. Izuku and Mina smiled back at All Might, knowing that they had the #1 hero standing by them to fight against this new evil. Although they're scared out of their minds, they're glad they have people standing beside them. The next day, Aizawa explained that the finals were coming up and that the students would have a written and practical exam showing where everyone stood. The students were terrified about the exams, but their fears suddenly became joy after Aizawa spoke up. He explained to everyone that they would go to a summer camp Forest Lodge if they all passed the exams. For the next few days, the students returned from studying the books for the written part and fighting and working out for the physical part. During that time, Izuku focused on removing pieces of himself and making copies for Mina to use One For All and her acid either at the same time or to have better control over it, and for Vomi to practice against in case Izuku turned into Guzuku. On the day of the exams, the students were able to pass the written part of the exam, but when it came to the physical part, it was changed. Instead of fighting robots that they were told about, they would go up against the teachers. For the most part, the final exam between the students and heroes goes pretty much the same. They were paired with someone in the class and then placed against a teacher. Most of the students were able to pass, while a few failed. Although 3 of the battles went a bit differently. In the first battle, it was Denki and Momo versus Aizawa. The teachers paired the student who struggled the most in class with the student who excelled in class to see how they would deal with someone who could take their quirks away. It would be a game of cat and mouse. It would go on for a while, but it would lead to Denki and Momo being captured and were about to be announced the losers of the round. Until Denki pushed something out of his pocket, Aizawa picked it up and was flashbanged by one of the dolls Momo created. Aizawa dropped Denki, giving him the time to go and free Momo. Momo and Denki escaped Aizawa and made it to the gate. The winner of the battle would be Momo and Denki. In the second battle, it was Bakugo and Todoroki versus All Might. Bakugo would have been paired with Izuku, but the teachers noticed their relationship was more of a rivalry. But the rivalry between Bakugo and Todoroki was something else. They decided to put those two together and pin them against All Might. Bakugo would argue with Todoroki while Todoroki focused on taking down All Might. All Might would overpower them easily, but the students, Bakugo and Todoroki, weren't thinking about retreating from a fight and decided to face All Might with everything they had left in them. The winner of the battle would be All Might. And in the third and final battle, it was Izuku and Mina versus Vomi. Thank you all for indulging yourself in this information thus far. I hope you all enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, if you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials have you covered. We the Celestials' My Hero Academia and Naruto What If channels retell the stories of their namesake animes with a twist. Check them out if you're interested. Secondly, on behalf of the We the Celestials team, I'd like to thank everyone involved in today's excellent content production. Their details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, I'd like to extend an invitation to join the team. The only caveat is that we only accept members from 16 years old to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interest by joining Recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for new members to join us. Well, that's it for today's video, so thank you all so much for watching.